Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the High Elves are back in business. It's going to be Alith and Anar facing off against Deathmaster in this High Elf vs Skaven showdown. So as far as the build goes, we are going to be going with the double Phoenix, which are very good against Skaven. The fire damage can be pertinent if they go with like a regenerating monster like Brood Horrors or Hell Pits. On top of that, they're just mobile, 120 speed, they hit relatively hard, very good at gooning Skaven monsters. So we got two of those bad boys, but the really fun aspect of this build is going to be the Shadow King, isn't that his nickname? It's going to be Alith and Anar. So basically, I was like, okay, let's get Alith and Anar, let's snipe the artillery, let's snipe the Skaven characters, and live our best life. So he is going to be back here ready to go. We have two Shadow Warriors and a bunch of cavalry. So a squad of Reavers and Silverhelms and a mirroring formation on the other side of the map with the Silverhelm and Reaver there. We got two Rangers hiding in the bushes, Noble on a Chariot, as well as a Mage of Death. I know that Hadri's really likes Deathmaster and those Skaven Assassins, so having my own Chariot anti-infantry squad to take them out was kind of part of the game plan. So that's it, more or less. We snipe the enemy artillery, we overcast Spirit Leech with our Mage of Death, and then once we've dealt with the artillery, we can use the cavalry and monsters to really abuse the Skaven army. And now for Hadri's, let's go ahead and take a look. He does have the Skaven Slaves, Poison Wing Globadiers, in case I went with the High Elf Rush, which is somewhat common. The Moonbow, Alith and Anar missing his first shot, pretty classic. And in the back, double Warp Lightning Cannons and some Mutant Rat Ogres and Wolf Rats hiding in the trees. Now, this is probably one of the more absurd games I've had in quite some time, so hopefully you guys enjoy this one. A lot of crazy shit happens, and yeah, it's definitely quite a bit of fun. So, Alith and Anar are doing a great job. Instantly takes out a Warp Lightning Cannon, has the crew relatively beat up as well. You can see the crew members also taking a little bit of collateral damage. But one thing I wasn't expecting was a very aggressive push from the Assassin and Deathmaster, and with the concealment bombs, I didn't see them coming. So they get in here, my Phoenix is kind of poking and prodding, trying to see what he's got going on in the bushes here. But Hadri's is going to be getting his Assassin as well as Deathmaster, and still, the concealment bombs are active for a long-ass time. So I did not see them coming. Normally I would see them here and would have time to react, but guys, this is going to be a very, very bad start. So Alith and Anar gets a little bit of an anime shot in there as Deathmaster charges, but I pretty much felt doom and gloom here. Hadri's and I were on mic, and I was like, oh god, this is just over. You can see the concealment bombs, the Assassin's Trophy, a true Clan Eshin assassination. Very effective as they jump in and use their rat karate here on Alith and Anar. He's going to get hunted. There's no way he's going to survive. So I thought the game was over at that point. I was like, oh, this is over. Well played, Hadri's. You caught me this time, man. But, I was like, wait a second, I have my two birds with 120 speed, I have my two chariots here, and I also happen to have some cavalry units with pretty good mass that I can move in here and pin these rats in. So the idea is, and look at them, they're flying around like little Skaven slaves, but the idea is to get my Silverhelms, pin them in place, get my Phoenixes, and just goon these characters. If I'm going to get gooned, I'm going to give a little bit of gooning back. So the Noble, the Mage of Death is coming in, my other cavalry are here, and the birds are coming in to go after Deathmaster, and he's very squishy, right? So the first attack is underway. Deathmaster does take a big blow from that bird, and the Whirl of Weeping Blades is going to potentially do some damage against these Silverhelms, not so much against SEMs. But now Deathmaster is getting owned by the bird. So the vengeance of the High Elves is upon us. Deathmaster gets karate chopped by the birds as well as the Noble, and now we also have the Assassin isolated here. And Assassins and Skaven Assassin type characters have really poor mass. So for the most part, all the Skaven characters are going to die there. So at the end of the day, I probably came out a little bit ahead of that trade, considering I got a hero as well as Deathmaster. But it still was a very stressful start. Now we have a normal battle on our hands here. The Shadow Warrior is going to be pulling back while the Silverhelms pile out from the forest. Lance is couched for, I don't know, what gods do they worship? Nonetheless, they're able to get a nice little lance right there and push back the doggos. Doggos take a little bit of damage, but nothing that they won't come back from. So now Hadri's has a very defensive posture. The bird's able to finish off the Assassins. The one Flamespire Phoenix chasing down Deathmaster into the forest there. And the Globadier is getting some nice shots onto my Rangers. So at this point, I kind of pull back, need to get my bearings, get a surround on his army, and time a big old alpha strike. So the first Phoenix is going to move in. I know Deathmaster and the Assassin aren't there, but the Teethbreakers kept ambushing me this game. He kept using concealment bombs. I didn't know where they were. And whenever I got close with my Flamespire Phoenixes, I was really paying the iron price. Warp Lightning Cannons still have a lot of functionality. He's got two right here. He does also have 3 Warp Lightning Cannons on that side. The Noble preparing to move in. Shadow Warriors are going to be shooting at the Mutant Rat Ogre the entire game, which are for sure the ideal target. But right now, the Skaven Slaves are pretty much the only thing in range. I was like, why the hell not? Let's go all in and see what we can do. Silverhelms and Rangers flanking the position. The 2 birds are flying in, and the Mage of Death is going to take a high round route. By taking the high round, we can mitigate the effectiveness of the Warp Lightning Cannons, and Overcasted Spirit Leech should be able to finish off one more crew piece. We'll have to see how that ends up going. But yeah, the Warp Lightning Cannon, hopefully we'll be able to get another one. We will see. Rattling Gunner's doing excellent work blasting my Flamespire Phoenix, but in the front the cavalry have pushed up, so the Skaven Slaves going to be getting run down there. The other Reavers sitting in position as the Warp Lightning Cannons continue to shoot into the Noble. Unfortunately, the Spirit Leech didn't quite do enough damage to get rid of a model, but we're crashing in from all sides. Here in the back, the Skaven Slaves defending the Warp Lightning Cannon are gone, and the Silver Helms shall be pouncing in, and the Skaven Artillery will be getting shreked pretty good by the Silver Helm. So we get that down, 100% going to probably get rid of that crew. Wolf Rats do pile in, but Silver Helms are very good against Hound units with their high armor and relatively substantial melee defense. So the 2 birds and the cavalry units trying to just run over the Skaven forces, but it's not without my losses. Silver Helms getting hit with the Globadier fire, but we do get in. The birds penetrate into the battle lines. And I also haven't gotten the regeneration yet, but Hadri's doing a very nice job blasting my Noble. So the Warp Lightning Cannons and their death throws here are able to blast my Noble and rout him. He will be back, but still a very nice catch, especially considering I don't have any healing. So don't really have any ways to really abuse my SEMs outside of the rebirths from the Flamespire Phoenixes. And much like if you're playing like a faction like Empire, if you're playing with Karl Franz, you're going to want to bring healing. But if you don't, you want to bring someone that's independent, like Volkmar or Boris. And this is kind of the same thing. Without healing, Flamespire Phoenixes are very independent because they have the rebirth ability, right? So they can get back on track. Now, most of the Skaven weapon teams have been kind of hunted down. You can see Cavalry chasing down Warp Lightning Cannons across the map. The 2 birds going to be trying to get on that Mutant Rat Ogre right there that was fending off my Mage of Death. We'll see what kind of work we can do. Rangers are not going to be enjoying this. They will be getting poisoned as they surge in, but they're still full health. And they should be able to get on top of the Globadiers and cut them to pieces despite the 100 armor. Globadiers just melee defense is pretty poor, so the damage still will get through. There we get a Spirit Leech on the Mutant Rat Ogre. The 2 birds are able to get some beautiful damage in there. The Mage on the Chariot or the Noble getting on top of these Globadiers, just trying everything I can to shut down every one of those weapons teams because they really are causing quite a bit of damage while the Mutant Rat Ogre continues to get focused. And I know if the Mutant Rat Ogre goes, it's pretty much going to be game blouses. From there, the 2 Phoenixes are going to be too much of a bully. The Phoenixes, they have a ward save and fire resist. I thought they had magic resist for some reason, but yeah, the Mutant Rat Ogre really just being quite annoying here. But a little bit isolated now, potentially could dive in with the Phoenixes, but I think at this point I still felt I wanted to get rid of the Globadiers to allow my Shadow Warriors to pile in and fight and just kind of grind them down through attrition. Micro mistake on my part, really good capitalization from Hadri's. He does move in with the Mutant Rat Ogre and is able to take my Noble to Poundland or stretch that pound depending on where you are in the world, perhaps the UK. You guys know what's up there. So the Noble's going to be running, broken and terrified, being chased down by Rat Ogres. They will be able to get him off the edge of the map, and the bounce power is kind of even, a little bit in my favor. Shadow Warriors are not slouches in combat. 38, 34, 32. The Noble on the run, and the Mage of Death pushing into the Globadiers. Spirit Leech going down on the Mutant Rat Ogre, and at this point, he's probably going to be more or less a non-factor. So we'll chase him down just to be sure, just like my Noble is being chased down. Damn thing back there. And the Mage of Death doing an excellent job shutting down these units while we do go after the isolated Skaven characters. So there's a little bit of a Plague Priest here, causing some problems, summoning some rats. The bird should be able to put some hurt on him. Plague Priests aren't bad in combat either, though. They have really high melee attack, so they can certainly connect and do some work against the Phoenix. I believe the Mutant Rat Ogre there is shattered, so my Flamespire Phoenix will be returning here in a moment. And my cavalry do rally in the distance while the Shadow Warriors pile in to help against the Globadiers. We still have a couple thousand HP, so the Globadiers won't be able to just nullify them on the charge. Hadri's does have some rallying units in the trees, but for the most part, none of them are terribly substantial units, mostly just Skaven slaves and wolves and things like that, although the wolf rats might be able to help. The bird on the hunt, going after the Plague Priest. We do get the terror right there, although the next attack is missed. Very unfortunate. Spirit Leech going down to try and shut down the doggos. Shadow Warriors moving in. Shadow Warriors actually have really cool tabletop models as well. But they should be able to shut down the doggos of Doom there with their swords and their bows and all that sort of good stuff. The Mage, still moving along. The Mage on Chariot doesn't have the armor piercing. Not a ton of that, but you don't need a lot of that against Skaven in general. But at this point, it's looking pretty grim for the Skaven. Mostly just cleanup. Going to be chasing down the Skaven slaves. You can see a little bit of a duel going down here. Hadri's, his Plague Priest going after the Flamespire Phoenix. But with the Rebirth and Spirit Leech and another bird coming in and just massive amount of infantry all over the battlefield, we're able to rout off the rest of the Skaven army. So GG, well played. It was a wild-ass game, man. I thought it was 100% loss. When he took out Alith and Anar, it was such a smooth thing, but then it also was a bit of an overextension, right? 2 Flamespire Phoenixes with their 120 speed flying back across and just absolutely roasting Deathmaster and his assassin buddy. But yeah, just a wild game. The Mage with 1400, the Noble kind of got shut down. Honestly, I like this build. I feel like it's a pretty decent competitive build, even with Alith and Anar. Maybe just cut the Noble and replace him with, he costs a lot. He was like 1300, so maybe get like another Shadow Warrior and another Reaver And honestly, I think at that point you just have a better, just a straight up better build. But yeah, that's it. For Hadri's, yeah, it's a good build. Just came down to the characters in the beginning. I think if both of us had been safer, it would have been a much closer game. Like, if Alith and Anar had sat back, if he had sat back with his assassins and played more cautiously, it would have been 100% of a different match. But, that's what made it fun. It was crazy. All right, take care of yourselves. High Elves are finally here on the channel. Haven't had them in quite some time. Well played to Hadri's, and we'll see you on the other side, my friends.